Perspective is a fascinating thing to play with when it comes to video games, because quite often you play as one protagonist, seeing something from one particular point of view, and to hell with everyone else. The Diary is a 2D narrative puzzle game that revolves around interrogating several different diaries, each written from different people, each telling different perspectives from the same story or overarching story arc. But each time you go to a new person's diary, you see things from different perspectives, points of view, and it adds clarity or sometimes complexity to the story as you've known it up to that point. And it's one of the biggest boons of the diary is that you're constantly having a shifting perspective and kind of changing your perception on what you've already known about and what you've seen before. The diary takes place over the course of many years, but it follows a disappearance of a young woman. And you'll start off with exploring the diary of that young woman at the start of the game to see, almost from a police perspective, can you find out anything about this lady? But then you'll start shifting to investigation notes and things like that, and then some of her friends, and then some other people get dragged into, so that you get to see the missing person case unravel and become more complicated and more intriguing as you move through the narrative. From a gameplay point of view, things also follow a diary perspective. It might be that you need to unlock a code to open up the diary to get inside. It could be rearranging photos so that they run in a chronological order. Or it could be that you're writing letters that you've saved inside your diary so that the paragraphs read in the right order so that you can then actually make sense of what's gone on. However, when it then comes to investigation notes, it might be that you take control of the camera before you take the photo so that your photo ends up in the diary, illuminating key evidence. Or it could be that you've got a map of a location and you're trying to work out where the security camera's blind spots are to be able to plot someone's escape from a crime scene, for example. Some of it is a little bit more playful and following some music, for example, like playing out a xylophone with a specific motif. And some of those musical puzzles are very clunky in the way how they're designed, but there's nothing here that will really hold you back from being able to progress through on the puzzles themselves. Now, the diary eases the difficulty of your mystery that you're trying to solve, because as you move things around inside your diary, if you usually put something in the right place, 9 times out of 10 it will actually lock it in. So if you put the photo in the right order, or if you put the name tag or the motive or the location of the notes of the person that you're tracking in the right place, so that you're busy building a persona of what you're chasing, like they'll lock in. So you can almost brute force this just through like sheer randomness if you're not paying attention. That's not really how I would suggest playing it. But if you're worried about actually being locked out of a mystery because you might not be very good at playing mystery games, this is definitely one of the easier ones to brute force your way through should you need to. Very rarely did I need to resort to that, and whenever I did, and it was only twice, it was because it was really unclear what it was I was trying to solve in the levels. And by that I don't mean objectives, I mean what action physically I needed to take in the diary. Sometimes it presents maps and it kind of says, oh, you need to do X, Y, and Z, and it's, do I click out something so that I can mark it on the map, or do I drag something over? And sometimes that takes a little bit of working out just as much as solving the puzzles, and I'd have liked some clearer, distinct user interface pointers, I guess, to make sure that in some of those lesser repeated games or puzzles that you need to solve, that it's really quite clear what it is that you're supposed to do, because on occasion it wasn't. That said, the graphics in this game I thought were really well done, and particularly when it's got photos that do that kind of boomerang back and forth for a second or two when you're moving them around or putting them into place. The diary had the potential to feel quite static and stale, I guess is the word that I'm looking for. But because everything has a certain type of motion to it, it actually feels more alive than flicking through a static diary would do. And so I think a lot of props deserves to be given to that. It does come full circle though, because a lot of this motion and little video clips and cutscenes that you get throughout the game all become part of a really cool narrative part at the end, because the diary is told in a non-linear fashion, and it then scoops it all up to tell a narrative story, just in case you've not quite clicked what the hell's gone on throughout. And I thought it was really well done how that all kind of came out as part of a particular narrative point in the game that I don't want to spoil. So I really enjoyed the diary. It is quite easy. It's also relatively short. I completed it in 2.5 hours. I could see some people maybe getting through if they're absolutely steamrolling it in about 2. But really, this is one of those ones where you want to kind of take your time a little bit and read everything that's given to you so that you can get the full picture of what's going on in the story. The absolute last thing I want to say, though, is that the diary is narrative first, puzzle second, and the puzzles are short and succinct and don't require layers of decoupling and uncomplicating, I guess. That's not a word, but it is now. And so just know that going in, if you're expecting like Professor Layton puzzles or point and click style puzzle difficulty, you're going to be disappointed. This is very much around telling a whodunit story and allowing you to piece together the chronological order of things through photos and text and like dragging and dropping notes together to kind of build a picture or a ripped up note or something like that. Outside of that, there's not much puzzling going on, and it's designed to be breezy. And so if you're expecting huge difficulty here or real taxing brain conundrums, you won't find it with the diary. For me, though, what I did find was a compelling story that I was engrossed in and wanted to see through to the end. And I did the diary in 2 evenings where I prioritised playing it because I wanted to see the ending. And I think that says a lot about a well-done story. The diary is out now.